You're in the mix with Conversations with Cupid Radio on InstinctRadio.net.
If you would like to advertise your business on Conversations with Cupid, airing every Thursday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Instinct Radio, email us at shay@middleclassmatchmaker.com. That's Shay, SHAE, at middleclassmatchmaker.com.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Cupid. I'm your host, Shay, Middle Class Matchmaker Primus, and I'm so excited about our show tonight. As you know, this show, Conversations with Cupid, is a platform for singles. We learn all about relationships and dating and different issues that singles will face. Well, tonight will be no different. Tonight, I'm excited because I have special guests with me who are transgender, and they're going to be sharing their experiences, and we get to ask them lots of questions that we may have about the whole community and their transition to becoming transition and living the lifestyle. Whatever questions you may have, we ask that you keep them respectful and courteous. And I just want to put that out there as a disclaimer, because I think it's important that we respect all of our guests, right? But especially any of our guests who might be in the minority, as we are often in the minority as well. And it is no secret that I am an ally of the LGBT community, so I just want to make sure I say that. So without further ado, I want to introduce our first guest, Mr. Nick. Welcome to the show. Introduce yourself.
Hey, Shay, how are you? Hey, viewers. My name is Nick Devereaux, and I'm just here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you so much for being open and honest and transparent with us tonight. And we do have London, who will be Skyping in with us. And we also have sex therapist Michaela Black, who will be joining us a little bit later. But we're going to go ahead and get started so that we don't delay. Our viewers have been chomping at the bit, and they have lots of questions for you. So one of the questions I have is, let's first define what is transgender.
So, for one, I'm glad you said transgender instead of transgender. Transgendered.
There's no D on it.
There's no ED on it.
Okay.
So I specifically got some inboxes in terms of, transgender is a noun. So it describes a person, place, or thing, right? Transgendered, it makes it plural. So there's no such thing.
Okay.
So just wanted to put that clarity out.
Because it didn't look right to me to say transgender and dating. At first I had transgendered and dating, and then one of my friends, Amina, who's in the queer community, she said, no, take off the ED. So I took off the ED. I'm like, but it doesn't look right. But okay.
But that is right.
That is right.
That
okay,
is
so
right.
transgender.
Right.
All right. And so what does that mean?
So, it's so many different spectrums of transgender people. So you can identify as a transgender person without even going through any medical surgery. Instead of I'm trying not to use so many technical terms to start off.
Yes.
So I can make it more layman's terms for everybody to understand. So transgender is a feeling inside of you, who you are, and how you identify or express yourself. I think that's the easiest way to explain it. Now, there's some more in-depthness to it as a transgender male who has gone through HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy, which is medically transitioning. So I am medically transitioning, which means that I have now taken medical steps to start physically transitioning to fit myself.
So this is a question a lot of heterosexuals have. Are you transgender if you still have your original genitalia?
Absolutely. Genitalia does not describe a transgender person. It does not describe who you are in terms of your feeling, your gender expression, and again, your gender identity. Once you define yourself as transgender, that's who you are.
Okay.
Genitalia is a long spectrum of other things that I'm sure that we'll,
get into.
Do a deeper dive into. But again, to kind of
simplify it,
start it off with a simpler term so that everybody can kind of get a high-level overview of what transgender is. That is exactly what it is in a nutshell.
All right, so let me ask this question. What about people who are, because we've all seen people, because I think most people are familiar with gay people, gay and lesbian people, and we've seen gay and lesbian people who dress like the opposite sex. Like, for example, women who are gay, who are lesbian, who dress like men, and men who are gay and dress like women. But does that make them transgender because they wear the clothing to the sex that they feel?
So it does not necessarily, but again, it depends on the person.
Okay.
So what the key things is that you have to listen to the person. You have to ask the questions. Are you transgender, or are you just identifying as a lesbian female? So there's different spectrums of lesbian females. So we talk about androgynous, right?
Okay.
Androgynous is typically, well, let me name all of them.
Yes, please.
Androgynous, stud, butch are the respectful names.
Okay.
or
Androgynous, stud, or book.
or
The
butch.
D word is not respectful?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And
I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
And I want to say it. So
Okay.
the words that are not respectful in 2017 is dyke and what is it? Dyke and bulldagger.
Those are not respectful.
That was kind of an 80s thing.
Okay.
Right? So 80s, back in the day, in the 80s, you heard a lot of terms of that's a bulldagger or that's a dyke. Those are not respectful terms to identify.
But I hear
call
them
anybody.
call themselves dykes. I have.
You know, that's pretty interesting. So I can't control the way somebody,
Right.
you
It's
know,
like us with the
express
N-word.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, so it's kind of that inner circle thing, just like you said with the N-word. You know how we say, "Hey, what's up, N?" You know, type of situation. But we want the lines of respect to cross over to society that they don't want anybody else to call them that.
Gotcha.
So if you don't, you know, my perspective, and let me use a lot of I statements because while I'm speaking in general terms for transgender people, I am only one transgender male, and I can really essentially only speak for myself.
Right.
So I want to be very clear when I say that,
Okay.
because there may be some other thoughts or ideologies around,
And there's no one way.
It's not a cookie cutter.
Gotcha.
All right, it's definitely not a cookie cutter in the LGBT community.
Gotcha.
Oftentimes, speaking of LGBT, the T in it, and this is, you know, we're going a lot, we're fast forwarding, but in the T, oftentimes we do not feel like we are a part of the L, the G, or the B. So the lesbian, the gay, or the bisexual community, because T is really truly a gender identity, and L, G, and B is really truly a sexual orientation.
So hold up, because that's going to blow my mind. Hold
Yep.
on a second, because I know I might not be the only one. You're saying, essentially then, so let's go to Kris Jenner. Let's go to Bruce Jenner.
Yep.
Because everybody knows Bruce Jenner before he was Caitlyn.
Absolutely.
Okay, everybody knows Bruce Jenner was a track star, Olympian, and he was a male.
Right.
And got married and had children
Right.
and all of that. And then at some point identified as a woman and
Right.
began to go through the changes and is now a transgendered woman.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that he was gay necessarily based off your definition. He doesn't have to be gay to be transgender.
Well, that's true. Now we're going into a you know, in Plato's closet. You know,
Okay.
it opens up a completely different Pandora's box, and I don't necessarily want to dive that deep just yet.
Okay.
But we can do that as the questions come in and as we go down the spectrum.
Okay.
But absolutely, you're absolutely right. You're onto something, Shay.
Okay.
But let's go back to the LGB and the T.
Okay.
Right. So again, there's two different things in this: gender identity and gender expression. It's how you identify, how you feel, and who you are. Sexual orientation is basically who you sleep with.
Okay.
Who you're attracted to.
Who you sleep with
Who you-
versus who you identify
And who
with.
you're attracted to.
Okay. Who you're attracted to and who you sleep with.
Right.
That's your sexual orientation.
Absolutely.
And who you identify with is your identity.
How you identify.
How you identify. Okay.
Which is gender. How you identify. If you identify as a male or female. So going back to the lesbian community, right? So because I once identified as a lesbian.
Oh, wait, hold up. You got to baby step me.
Yep.
So let's start since you're going
Yep.
there. You were born as a woman.
I was born female.
You were born female. You didn't dress like a male. You just,
No, I did. No. So I was born as a female.
Okay.
At probably about the age of 17, 18 in college, I had my first lesbian experience. It was at that moment that I knew and I realized. I've always been that person that was able to identify quickly with what I like and what I dislike. So at that moment, I identified with the female sex. I enjoyed relations.
You did not identify, but you were attracted to.
Right, I was
attracted to women, and you enjoyed sleeping with women.
Sleeping with women.
Okay.
And that was where, what I was more drawn to.
So even though you look like a woman, you just were attracted to and sleeping with other women.
Absolutely.
So you were lesbian at that time.
I was lesbian at that time.
Got it. Okay.
And then I kind of went through the lesbian spectrum in terms of trying to identify myself.
Okay.
Right? So once I identified with lesbian women and that was what my sexual attraction was, then I identified with the tomboy, if you will, because there was all my life I feel like I was a tomboy.
So as a little girl, you were like
I had
jeans and sneakers.
No, I had on skirts. I had a purse because my grandmother told me that was a thing that I needed to do.
Okay.
And my grandmother raised me, so
Okay.
that was what. I didn't know anything. I was green. That was what was supposed to happen. And because she said that was supposed to, and it wasn't like she said, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. She bought the dresses. I wore the dresses, but I walked around like a boy.
You still was like,
I was.
We've all seen those girls.
Really tomboyish, right? But
and I've seen girls who don't like dresses. As a little girls, they
Right.
only like wearing sneakers
Absolutely.
and shorts and jeans. Okay. So
I would never defy my grandmother, but I don't even think that it was even a thought at that time when I was 8, 9, 10, 11.
You were a little girl.
Yeah,
you
I was a
what you
little
were
girl.
told. Mhm.
Mother went to Saks Fifth Avenue and she bought me the fanciest dresses and the school ball gowns, military ball. I had on a dress.
Gotcha.
I had on a dress, and because I would imagine as I go through my brain and think about what my childhood was like, it was I saw grandmother and granddaddy, and I saw the house, and I seen my mother and her husband, and I saw my auntie and her husband.
So you grew up around couples.
Yeah, I grew up around couples. So it was never. But I also was born in the Baptist church, so I also saw the musician of music who was very flamboyant and gay. And everybody loved him.
Yes.
And it's so I knew what gay was, but I didn't
identify.
In my mind, it didn't. It didn't mean anything to me at that point. I didn't internalize it.
Gotcha.
So I can't. My story isn't one that I was a kid that grew up feeling like I was in the wrong body, and the worst part about what I knew when I probably got to about the age of 17 when I went to college is I didn't like my breasts.
You didn't like them because they were too.
They were too big. They just didn't. They weren't supposed to be here. Like I would have.
So you've now gotten them removed.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. Okay. Let me stay on track.
We'll talk about that when we get to that point. But so I knew that I didn't like breasts, but that didn't make me or identify me or change who I was. I was still the tomboy, and as a matter of fact, I don't mind revealing. I was Nikki. I was born as Nicole. My family called me Nikki. I played basketball. I played every sport. I played football. I played cans. I played with the boys. I had a boyfriend from the age of from 8th grade all the way until my junior year in college when I had that aha moment. He and I dressed alike.
Did you have sex with him?
Now, very good. Thanks for asking.
I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
Thanks for asking. I absolutely did. I had sex with him because it was what I was supposed to do. But I never liked having sex with him. I literally laid there dormant like, okay, when is this going to be done? Okay, please don't have him ask me to do something below his belt, like put my head
So you
down.
really weren't into it. You just didn't enjoy it.
I didn't enjoy it. But again, it didn't change the fact that I thought that we were going to get married and have babies.
Kids, that was what you were supposed to do. Right.
Absolutely. So it wasn't until I went to college that I had my first lesbian experience. And again, while I had a boyfriend, I was on a college campus, and a female approached me, and I was attracted to her, and we had our first sexual experience, and it was like literally, Shay, at that moment, I said, "This is it. This is what I like." I
gotta stop you, Nick, because a lot of women have same-sex experiences, but they're not gay.
Right.
So, or they're not lesbian.
Right.
They don't identify.
They
don't identify in their lifestyle. They just, it's fun. It's let's just do it. But they don't want that to be their life. You knew this was your life.
I knew at that point. I drew the line in the sand, and I said, "This is it." Now I didn't know how to articulate that or how to internalize it, but I knew. I was very, very dominant and controlling in my mind, so I knew that was who I was. And how would I deal with that? I'll just have to figure that out as I maneuver through this journey.
All right, so you had this one experience. You realized that you're going to be a lesbian.
Yep.
All right, did you start dressing like a boy at that time?
Absolutely did.
You did?
It was at that moment that she taught me because she said, we had this conversation. She was like, "You're very dominant. You're very this." So she kind of guided me through.
She
the
was
way.
already in the lifestyle.
She was already in the lifestyle, so she kind of guided me through the lifestyle. And we went to the store. We went to Macy's. I'll never forget. She had a credit card, and she said, "Go get these Guess jeans." And let's just say at that time I was in a size 32 regular. As a matter of fact, let's say girl clothes. I was in a size 10. Maybe a 12. It depends, on what type of clothes I wore, right? She said, in order to be a dominant lesbian, at that time it was called butch, you've got to wear your clothes a little bit bigger. So we went in the store and we bought size 34 clothes, bigger than what my size was, and basically I was sagging, it was baggy, and I turned into a boy instantly. Like literally though, when I put on those clothes, it was like amazing.
You knew that's what you were supposed to be.
I felt liberated. Like I was like, this is it. This is how I identify. But because, I had to, I don't know. I was just like, what do I do with this? I don't know. How do I go home and tell mama this? But I didn't have to tell because one of my very close friends, who was my roommate, she basically snitched on me. So she called home because she was all upset. She was a heterosexual female, and we were really close. We were best friends in college, and she was like, so she told. I had no idea, though. She had called my grandmother.
She said,
she basically called my grandmother and said, Nikki is down here in a lesbian relationship. Oh. So when I got home for that summer, I come in the house, but I had on my boy clothes, I had on my boy clothes. And, of course, my grandmother was stunned. My grandmother loved me. I'm the angel, so it didn't matter one way or the other with her. Whatever I did, it was all right with her. And once she internalized it. But I never forget, when I walked in the door, she was like angry. She was like, "So, Nikki." I was like, "Yes, ma'am." She was like, "Well, somebody called me and told me that you down there having sex with girls." I was blown away, Shay.
Because you didn't know she knew.
I was so blown away. I was like, oh, my God. Because my whole thing is in my entire life, over everybody except the Lord, I did not want to disappoint my grandmother. Oh, that was heartbreaking for me. So anyway, I had that conversation. I was like, you know what? It's the truth. It is true. And, we went through because I came from a Bible belt. So you came
out immediately?
Yeah, immediately. Because I told you, I'm no holds barred. So we sat down, we had the conversation. I was like, Mom, it's true. I do like girls. I have been, having relations with girls, and she was not happy about it. And we went through every Bible scripture.
She's telling you how wrong, and you're going to hell.
You're going to hell and all of that. And, but at the end of the day, I told her, this is who I am, and you guys are either going to have to accept me or leave it. And then I took my mother, because, I was raised by my grandparents, but my mother was always in my life. So I told my mom, and I said, listen, we need to go and talk. I have something to tell you. We went out to the park. I'll never forget, in Fort Lauderdale. I was born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We went to Oswald Park, and I said, Mama, I have something to tell you. And at this time, my mother was saved and filled with the Holy Ghost.
Yeah.
So and speaking in tongues type, right? So it was one of those situations where she was like, I was like,
she laying hands on you and everything.
I was like, Jesus. I was like, Lord, at the end of all of this, I ain't changing, Mom. I'm gay. It's what it is. And basically, I was like, it turned into anger. So I was like, and now I'm talking to my mother, which we are very close in age. She had me at 16. Okay. So she got pregnant to have me at 16.
Which is why your grandmother raised
right.
you.
And I was like, so I don't, I wouldn't talk to my grandmother that way. I was like, I don't care if you don't like it or not, but this is who I am. So take me or leave me. You don't have to ever, say anything else to me. And I kind of sped off and I left. I was pissed off. But eventually, they came around. So that's the lesbian story. So I lived a dominant lesbian life, and once I entered into my dominant lifestyle and living it, and
by dominant you mean, because I'm gonna ask some very simplified questions. By dominant mean you dress like the boy and you were with somebody who dressed like a girl?
Absolutely. I was only attracted to feminine females.
Now, is lipstick lesbian right? Because I hear that term a
so
lot.
Lipstick lesbian would be a term that is kind of toggling between the lines of androgynous, maybe a little bit more feminine than androgynous. So androgynous would be a lesbian female who looks very dominant, very tomboyish, and dressed in men clothes, but still have really
like Pat.
distinct.
Do you remember that that was a comedy show. Pat looked like a boy, but you didn't know if she was a boy or a girl. Never mind. But anyway, I understand what you're saying.
But yeah, and lipstick lesbians are typically those that still dressed in heels and lipstick, hair such as yourself, and but they're very, very
you wouldn't
tomboyish.
know. Oh,
yeah.
but wait, lipstick lesbians are still tomboyish?
They're tomboyish. They have a tomboyish edge to them.
Oh.
But if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. They're the type that would wear kind of men's clothes, but it's disguised a little differently. They dress it up with makeup, like tomboys, true tomboys that are dominant. They don't wear lipstick and makeup and typically don't wear hair. You know, usually they are, you know, hair shaved or locks or something very, very masculine.
I see.
A lipstick stud or a lipstick lesbian, you really can't detect it.
Okay.
Not right off the bat.
And then there's a you said there's a spectrum.
I would call so if we can identify with somebody, what's her name? Ellen's
lipstick?
Absolutely.
See, to me, it's clear that she's gay. I don't know.
It's because she's come across those spectrums. If you look at Ellen back from the late 90s to the early 2000s, she wasn't. Oh, I'll tell you another one. This is probably the perfect example, probably more perfect than even Ellen would be Queen Latifah. And I'm probably telling her tea.
No, everybody knows she's gay.
All right.
Okay. But
it would be
but Queen Latifah is gay, but she comes across as feminine.
Right. So you know how she does, I don't know if it's L'Oreal or I don't know which
CoverGirl. Yes.
Whichever one she does, you know, and every time I see it, I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Right. Gotcha.
But that's her life. You know,
so she would be lipstick.
She would be lipstick.
Okay, but then there are people like Ellen's wife, Portia. You would never know that she's gay.
She would be what we call a feminine lesbian.
She's a feminine lesbian.
Right.
Okay. Because you would never know that she was married to a woman.
Exactly.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So there's a spectrum. You were on the other end of the spectrum where you dressed like a boy.
Right.
Were you calling yourself Nick at the time, or you were still Nikki?
So it's very funny. So glad you asked that question. In college, it was basically still Nikki. You know, it was still either Nikki or Nicole.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to think. My college friends probably called me Nicole. They probably didn't call me Nikki. Some of them probably called me Nikki. But yeah, whichever one they wanted to call me, it didn't matter. It was always my female name.
Okay.
Is what they called me.
All right.
Let's see. It wasn't until I left college and moved to Atlanta that I really got engraved in the
lifestyle.
The lifestyle.
Okay.
Right, where I started to carve out how I really wanted to identify. And at that time is when I took on the dominant role in all relationships and all of that. In terms of all of my relationships.
So okay, because let me get this straight. So y'all have roles in the relationship, because I thought that, because when I was in grad school at UGA, I had a professor and he was awesome. He had been with his partner at the time 20-something years. Probably now they've been together 30-something years. But at the time, he said that he was gay, and what made his relationship great was they were just both men, and they split out who's going to do what. I'm going to cook, I'm going to clean, and they didn't have roles. They didn't have gender roles, and he felt that's what made them successful, because we kind of get stuck in our roles in the heterosexual community. Like, I'm supposed to cook, I'm supposed to clean, you're supposed to fix the cars and mow the lawn, and he was like, they didn't have that. So you're saying, though, you intentionally became more dominant and created this role of, I'm gonna do the masculine stuff.
Absolutely, because as a dominant lesbian, again, we're talking about back in the 90s, in the early 2000s. That's what we thought we were supposed to do. See, most new baby studs, you know, or lesbians that are dominant, you know, automatically we take on that responsibility and that role of manhood, of masculinity. So automatically we think that we're supposed to take on all of the masculine roles of what a man, you know, should do.
Okay.
Right. So with that, roles, I want to stay in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Okay, because it's changed.
Yeah, it's starting to change.
Okay.
For sure. It started. And for me, at 43, as we get a little older, we realize that maybe those roles, you know, again, I identify as a male, though. So I am who I am. I am a protector. I'm a provider. So I'm going to always...
Would you be like that? And this is going to be hard because you don't know, because you've been this way for a long time. Mm-hmm. But would you be, if you weren't gay, if you weren't transgender, because I don't want to put labels that you haven't given yourself, if you weren't transgender and you were still Nikki, would you be more masculine, dominant in a relationship with a man?
I can't explain that because I
You
really was
haven't
never,
been there.
I never,
Okay.
and I never after my college day, the last boyfriend I had, I never envisioned anything else. But even when I think back to that relationship, I think probably we clashed so much because I was so dominant.
Okay.
But I think that as kids, we, if you will, at a kid level of thinking, fell in love with who we were, and he was accepting of this dominant tomboy,
Okay.
for whatever reason.
Gotcha.
So, but in when I was a lesbian, when I identified as a lesbian, my role was male, and even in my role as male, my ex-wife, because I was married.
Oh,
I
you
was
keep
in a
blowing my mind,
relationship
Nick. Oh, you gotta give it to me in baby steps. You were married to what? To who?
to a female, to a feminine.
You were
female.
a lesbian at the time?
A lesbian.
Married-
I was in a lesbian relationship, married
Okay.
to a lesbian female.
Okay, and she was more feminine.
And she was feminine.
Okay.
And we had 2 kids. We raised 2 kids
Oh, my
together.
God.
Our kids are somewhere around, don't kill me, D'Angelo. He's either 31 or 32.
You have grown kids.
And my daughter is 23.
These were her kids.
Yes,
Okay.
they were her kids.
I'm like, you're not old enough to have a 30-something.
Biologically her kids.
Okay.
But my daughter, I came into her life when she was 2.5 months. So Bree
You
is
raised
mine.
her, yeah.
She is mine. My son is mine, regardless. He was 8. So we raised our kids. So we raised our kids in a 2-female home, but in that home we ran it as if it was a male and female home. And in fact, from the time that I can remember being lesbian, I always went by male pronouns.
As a lesbian, you wanted to be
lesbian.
called he and
Right.
him.
And not only wanted to, everybody did.
Okay.
Everybody called me he, brother, sister, daddy, all of those.
So the kids
all of
called
those
you
things.
daddy.
So my kids came up with this name that they decided that they wanted to call me because this was at the very beginning, and we got to go to schools and we got to go to PTO and parent conferences. So we didn't push the kids to decide what they wanted to do. We allowed them to do what they wanted to choose.
But I have a question. You didn't have facial hair. Like, you didn't look like a man at the time.
I pretty much looked
like a female,
yeah,
but you were
more
just
of a tomboy female.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they understood that we were in a 2-female relationship. The kids called me Nana. That's what
Nana,
they called me.
okay.
But it wasn't the Nana in terms of like the Nana
Right.
type of situation. Don't ask me how they came up with that name. I have no idea, but that's what they called me from the time that I can ever remember. Like I said, my son was 8. Probably at 9 he started, and from the time my daughter could start talking, they called me Nana. So that was the name that I took on. That was easier for them, and that's what we rolled with. But again, my ex wife called me he. It was always he pronouns.
Okay.
He, him type of pronouns. Houses was really big back in the late 90s and early 2000s. What I mean by houses are gay houses. So these gay houses took on kind of a hierarchy of mother, father, and kids.
What is a gay house?
So I'm trying to see. So you see this tattoo, and most people think it says H-O, but it doesn't. It says H-O-B. Let's see, H-O-B for life, right? So H-O-B for life, right? It's House of Buchanan for life. So basically, House of Buchanan was a house that we created, my ex-wife and I created, and it was more like a mentorship program.
For other people.
For other lesbian identified females who were going through the life and trying to maneuver through. Some of them, their parents weren't accepting of them, or they were just looking for other like-minded of people like themselves. So we took on this house and we had a vision, and we created the House of Buchanan. And again, my ex-wife was the mother, I was the father, and in fact we still mother and father, and we're divorced, and she's remarried to another lesbian, and life goes on, but we still have our family and the kids that
So
still
are
look
these
up to
people
us.
who, because I know that there are a lot of kids who are gay or lesbian and they run away or they get dismissed or they get disowned by their families, and so are these houses like places where they can come?
It's a safe haven.
Okay.
It's absolutely. We have 3 that I could think of right away who parents didn't accept them. We coached them through how do you go back to your parents' house? Don't run away from it, even when you feel ostracized. How do you deal with it? Try to deal with the depression, and I can articulate it a lot better now than even I was maneuvering and trying to figure it out myself as a parent. But I think that we did a pretty good job collaboratively no, my ex-wife and I, to make sure that we had a cohesive family, and we did things like pageants and balls and club events and things like that to keep us together. And we basically created a home outside of our biological home.
Gotcha.
So we'll forever be family. We'll forever be family. We're forever loving. And it's not just one of those kind of just show houses, if you will, where we just went out and did shows. When real life things came up.
So when you say these things, I don't know what you're saying. So hold on, stop. So first, there are houses that people who are transitioning to gay and lesbian lifestyle, they can go to these houses. And there's a mom and there's a father there who groom them and answer questions. And how do you move into this lifestyle? How do I get clothes? What do I say to my family? What do I say? They can answer all these kinds of questions. And how do people find these houses? They're just in the community.
Just in the community, and I'm glad you asked that, because there's several. There were so many different. It was probably back when our existence started in 2003. So in 2003 there was probably several different lesbian houses that even was created before us. And how do people figure out who they want to be a part of? It's just like a sorority or fraternity, to try to make you understand it a little bit better. They attach to what's relatable for them. So being a Kappa or a Q or a Delta or
I am a Delta, but I'm trying to wrap my head around what you're saying.
So if
you got to baby step us through, because this is all foreign.
So I'll just say this: I pledged the sorority.
Oh, I'm aware that y'all have underground sororities and fraternities.
No,
not that.
D9.
I know. I'm aware that y'all wear our colors and our stuff.
No, let's be clear.
You were in college. You were in D9.
Clear. Yes.
Oh, you were official D9 in college.
Absolutely.
As in a sorority, because you were a female.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'm clear.
Can you figure out which one?
I don't know.
Just take.
I don't want to do that.
Go ahead.
No.
I want you to.
No. I don't want to do that.
Shay.
No.
Come on, Shay.
You're not gonna do that to me. You're not gonna do it to me.
Do it.
Nope.
Do it. You scared?
Nope. Yes, I'm scared.
You shouldn't be scared.
I'm not gonna do it. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll find something for you while we scrolling.
I'm not gonna be able to do it, because I don't want anybody coming to attack me. So I'm not gonna be able to do it.
So I'm gonna be very clear. While I want to say this while I'm online, so to never ever disrespect my sisterhood, I will never disrespect them, because they understand. I wrote a letter into my chapter. They understood. I asked them what route to take when I went on this journey, on this transitional journey, and they are very accepting of me and who I am. They now call me their brother instead of their sister. They understand these things. I don't wear any paraphernalia.
You don't wear them anymore?
No, absolutely not. I don't identify as that. So it's kind of, I had to, I would call it kind of sort of the worst part. I think if you had to ask me what's the worst part of my journey in terms of transitioning, what a part of my old life that I miss, there's only one part, and it would be because
your
all
sorority.
my life I wanted to be a part of this particular sorority.
And you were able to join.
Founders Day pop up. That's the only thing that kills me. But
you chose not to participate, because I'm sure your sorority sisters. I know if any of my line sisters,
they are, and
I actually have some line sisters who are gay. I don't know if they've. Yeah, actually, I have a line sister that got married last year.
But being gay, I have several of them that's gay. But being gay and transitioning to a male, you can't be a male and be in a female sorority.
No, I understand what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, if one of my line sisters said to me, Shay, I'm transitioning to a male, that's still my line sister.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not their line sister, though, because I don't want to be identified.
You want to be identified as a guy. I understand.
Right,
so that's why you had to back up. I'm clear.
Right.
I'm clear.
But yeah, I'll find it for you, and I'll show you.
I just want you to tell me, because I'm not going to be guessing up here. You're not going to have.
That's terrible.
I have friends of every D9 organization, and you're not going to have nobody pinning me to the cross.
It's terrible that you scared.
Well, I am.
You scared?
I am. Take it to the bank. I'm not doing it. All right.
So that's basically. But if you think along the lines, so I said all of that to say, if you think along the lines of what our sororities and fraternities did for us when we were pledging, and the sisterhood and brotherhood that we can take on for the rest of our lives, and what it means to us, and I know you can, then that's basically what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Is what
I think London is trying to Skype in, so we're trying to, let's see what's going on here. And it looks like we have a call. Hey caller, welcome to Conversations with Cupid. Hey caller, welcome to Conversations with Cupid. All right, I don't hear anybody, so I'm going to We're gonna hang up. London is trying to reach us. London is a trans woman, and I'm gonna tell you, London looks good, y'all. I mean,
she does.
London will put some natural born sisters to shame. London is
beautiful.
bringing it. So she's trying to Skype in now. So as soon as she comes on, we're gonna hear her story, and her story is similar. I do know, I know two of her friends. One of her friends went to elementary school with her, and one went to high school with her, and she went to Morehouse, and now she's London. So we want to hear her story. But this is very interesting.
I can't believe you couldn't guess that.
I'm not going to guess it. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do anything.
That's terrible.
Well, why you say it's terrible?
No, I'm just saying.
Well, at any rate, I know. Just keep it moving. All right. At any rate, all right. So you were in a lesbian relationship. When did you decide, or when did you have a feeling like, you know what, I'm gonna go all the way with this. I'm just gonna.
It was, it was honestly. I just didn't know, it even transgender even existed. And Chaz Bono. That was probably the first person we all heard about, right?
Yes.
Heard about Chaz Bono. Heard about all of his, complications and everything he went through. And it still didn't trigger anything.
On Dancing with the Stars, I remember when Chad.
But we talked about long before that.
Okay, before that. I didn't know about him until Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah, long before that. I'm saying that was probably the first time I ever saw it. And then directly in our community, I'll never forget, it was a guy who transitioned, and he came to one of, because I used to be a club promoter as well. So he came to one of my events. And he was now a male, a full-blown male with facial hair. He looked completely different, and I was blown away. And it was intriguing. I wanted to know what was that, and what did he do, and how did he do it. So it was at that moment. It was probably in 2005 when this happened, and I was like,
So is this relatively new, this transgender? Because I know that people have been dressing like the sex that they identify with forever, but is this relatively new to just say, no, I'm a man, or I'm a woman?
No. So from what I understand and what I know, from what I've what I've researched and been a part of, and on this journey, what I've learned is transgender people have been around so long, but it just hasn't been visible. And
they didn't have a name.
It wasn't a real name attached to it. But man, we can find articles and things all the way back to literally before time, literally.
But there's a difference, okay? Because I've heard the story of Marvin Gaye's. Are we Jack? I don't see. Okay, I heard the story of Marvin Gaye's daddy wanting to wearing women's clothes, but a cross-dresser is not the same thing.
See, a cross-dresser and a transgender person is totally different. Unless that cross-dresser decides that they
identify
as trans.
Okay.
Right. So that's where it gets a little muddy. But and oftentimes the heterosexual community thinks that, and that was where I think the bathroom laws came in, that everybody was so disturbed because they felt like the dude in drag.
Hey, welcome to Conversations with Cupid. Hey, caller, welcome to Conversations with Cupid. Oh, they hung up. All right, I know. Okay, London just said something. I'm trying to read her messages. She says it's not signing her on. Can you assist her, Net, please? London, Net's going to assist you with getting on, because we definitely want to hear your story, too.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, because there's a spectrum. There are heterosexual people who like wearing women's clothes or like wearing men's clothes, like men who like wearing women's clothes.
Yeah.
But they are not gay, and they just like putting on women's clothes.
That does exist.
Yeah. And there are women, I suppose, I haven't heard of them, but I'm sure there are women who just like wearing men's clothes.
There's women that are probably dominant, but are still.
And they're cross-dressers.
Yeah.
And then we have drag queens,
right?
Who they put on women's clothes, get makeup, hair.
And typically that's for entertainment purposes. That is their entertainment. That's their job. Their job is to go out and entertain at the various clubs around the world.
But that doesn't mean that they're transgender either.
Exactly.
They're just a guy who likes wearing women's clothes.
Right.
But most of them are gay.
Most, not
all.
I can't say all,
right.
But most of them are gay. But they are cross dressers. They dress, or they're drag queens that dress in female clothes for the illusion.
It's just the illusion.
It's just the illusion for a particular event.
But I know because I've watched RuPaul's drag show.
Right.
They mostly gay, but
Right.
from what I've seen.
Right.
But I'm sure there are some who
Right.
aren't, and they just like wearing those clothes. But then there are people who, like yourself, you're living this life. You're
Right.
living life as a man. You are
Right.
officially, legally
right.
a man.
A male. Right.
Now, I want to get into when you decided, no, I'm going to do this officially.
So again, it was at that point in 2005 when I had that aha moment, and I said, and then I started doing some research. Well, it took me years because at that point I'd been in, from the end of time, from the beginning of my career, I'd been in corporate America and kind of carving my way through.
Oh, as
right?
a woman,
as a dominant,
no, as a lesbian,
okay, right, as a lesbian, because lesbians are more accepted,
of
right?
course.
So, which is still difficult, but more accepted. So I was carving my way through, my career, and I had made a pretty good, name for myself in my career, in my stature, if you will. And at that point, I was at a salary point and role where I wasn't sure that I wanted to risk that to live in my truth. So while I toggled between the two, I never really had the conversation with anybody.
But you were already wearing men's clothes.
No, but see, no. Thank you for making that statement. This was the pain point. When I went to work, I looked like a girl.
Oh.
But even though I was dominant and tomboyish, I had two closets. I had a female closet and I had an after 5 male
really?
closet. Absolutely. So and I did that for years, for as long as I could possibly remember. I can even remember early on in my career having to be somebody I wasn't, in terms of when Christmas party time came up. I had to put on, more of a feminine clothing and lipstick and makeup and
so you were living a lie.
Yeah, I had to wear those things, because that's what I was supposed to do
for the corporate
again,
Christmas parties.
It still didn't trigger me that was. I just figured, listen, in order to make it,
play the role.
Mama always told me, you gotta. There's a time and a place for everything, and that thing resonated with me. So it's a time and a place to make your money, baby. You got to go do this. This is what these people look at you
though.
as.
Like when I'm thinking about the fact that you consciously was putting on makeup and didn't want to,
right?
And wearing skirt. Did you wear skirts or did you still wear pants?
Every blue moon. It depends what social environment I was in.
Because of course at Christmas parties and stuff.
If it was in a particular social environment, like I remember my best friend, she had a picture. We laughed about this picture. We had a picture she would send to me, and it was a picture when we went to some event, and I had on a full blown out skirt. I mean, literally all the way to my ankles, and the blouse. I mean, it was horrendous. Like I look at it now and I just bust out laughing. Like
you would never put it on now.
Absolutely not. I'm like, what was I thinking? But what was I thinking? That salary, that check that went in my bank, that took care of my 2 kids and my wife at the time. That was what I was thinking of. This house that I had to pay mortgage on, these BMWs and these cars that I got outside.
So they knew you were a lesbian, but they didn't know that you identified as male.
Right, because at that I can't say that I identified as male internally outside of the male pronouns. I was okay in 2000, in 94 all the way till 2005. I was fine with being just a dominant lesbian. That was fine.
But at work, I'm sure people still called you she and
absolutely.
her. Okay.
Yep. Nobody called me anything other than female pronouns. But again, fast forward, once I realized that transgender did exist is when I started doing research. But even then, every single time I got close to thinking about it, I was scared
of your career.
I was scared that I was going to lose my career. And there was 2 things that always worried me: the relationship I had with my grandmother. So here I am. In 1991, I went home and told my grandmother that, yep, I'm lesbian, and I date women. And now I got to go tell her, and once I decided, I'll tell you, it was in 2013 that I finally made the decision. And now I got to go home and tell her, not only am I a lesbian, but now I want to be a man. And now you're going to see physical changes, and now you got to call me Nick or these male pronouns. And so at 80, she was at 80 at that time. It's like I didn't want to blow her away.
Really?
Because once again, we go back to that level of disappointment. So trying to figure out which one of those things, how did I want to, what did I want to do? What choice did I really truly want to make? What decision I truly wanted to make? It was difficult. So I stood in that for years and years and years. So then my ex and I broke up around 2007, 2008. And at that time, I moved away to Virginia, and I did a lot of soul searching. I did a lot of soul searching. And it was at that point I said, listen, this is what I want to do. But that was still 2008, 2009. I came back to Atlanta in 2010, and it still took me 3 years to say, okay, I am ready. I am ready to live in my authentic truth and be who I feel like. Because I'll never forget, I was a regional care manager for the Atlanta region and Canadian region, also DC. And I felt like my productivity at work was just suffering because I felt miserable. I was tired of wearing the female clothes. I was tired of sitting in the chair, acting as if I was a female, even dominant female. I wanted to be a man. That's what I wanted to do. You knew
that that's what you wanted to be.
That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a man. I wanted to be free. And I've just, at that point, I got laid off. And when I was laid off, I was like,
this is the time.
This is the time. My grandmother had went into the nursing home. I felt like she doesn't have, I know her time is winding down. We had a bond with each other, and she always said, I'll let you know when it's my time. And I felt like it was getting very close to that time. And so I said, I don't want to deprive her. I would feel horrible, and I don't know how I would live my life really in its authentic truth if the one woman that I loved so unconditionally did not know. So not that I don't love my mother unconditionally, but my grandmother was just we had a different bond. And I said, she has to know. Like, mama gonna know, and she gonna get over it, but Ruth needs to know. And I needed her acceptance.
So you start taking your hormones, and you went to visit her.
I literally took my first hormone on May 29th, 2013. I told my mother. And she was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Because when you first start taking them, what happens? I've only seen it on Orange is the New Black, where Laverne Cox, the character, she was married with a family and everything as a man. And
she wasn't living in her truth.
She
was living in societal truth.
While married to a woman, transitioned to a woman.
But she did the right thing. She said, she went and she sat on the bed and she had that conversation.
They had a conversation.
That hard conversation. Kudos to her. That's what we should do.
And I know this is a show, but I'm just giving it everybody knows that.
But that happens, in some cases in real life, and some people are not courageous enough to do it. They just leave and
that was my point too, because your story came from, you were a lesbian first and then you were transgender, but some people aren't lesbians,
right?
Like Caitlyn, Bruce Jenner, or like in the story with Laverne Cox. She wasn't a lesbian. She was married to a woman and transitioned. She
was a heterosexual male. At least that's how she identified on the outside.
With a kid and a wife and all of that.
On the inside, I don't know her story completely outside of reading,
Right.
But I would challenge you to say, to think that she had to feel those internalized feelings, that she was always
trapped
in male trapped in
a
female trapped in a
man's body. Yeah.
So with me, like I said, I went home. I took my first shot, and it was probably 4 months in.
It's an injection?
It's an injection.
Okay.
We take testosterone shots. It's an injection. In either your buttocks or your calf, and it starts the physical.
It shrinks your breasts down.
Those are myths. It doesn't. So the main portion of it is the testosterone basically just it disportions or transfers your fat, the female fat, to different portions of your body to make you more masculine. Okay. That's probably the easiest way to say it. Now, it has physical changes, clear physical changes.
So your hair starts growing in your face.
Emotional changes,
Emotional changes?
Absolutely.
What, Nick? Like what? Like what emotion? Like what? I don't care no more. What happened?
Some people go through depression. Some people have attitudes. Some people are just mean.
Really?
Some people are, become introverts. Some people become extroverts.
Like you can totally change.
You aren't, your mind, your thought pattern isn't the same. Things that you thought you would never do, you do. There's things that you never thought you would accept or be accepting to, you are accepting to. There's just so many changes that happen, and it's not contingent. It's not a cookie cutter. Everybody's journey
is different,
is individual, and it's different. So I can't tell you what somebody else's was. I know I went through depression. I went through emotional roller coasters, up and down. I went through a complete, physical change, of course. So, those are some of the things that I can, absolutely speak to.
So I have questions. Now we're going to get into with this next round. Because you take the hormones and then people have surgery. All right. You have surgery, and you can, if you're a trans woman, you can get an actual vagina, right? You can get breasts, which I think London has from her pictures. You can get breast implants. You can get an actual vagina. I want to understand how that happens. Like, how do they convert the penis to a vagina? How do you convert a vagina to a penis? And does it still function? And does it still operate the same as a natural born person?
So what I want to say is yes, yes, and yes to all of those things. I want everybody who's listening to do a little research on, SRS, which is sex reassignment surgeries. Those are real. Yes, they work just like anything else. What I do want to say is everybody doesn't get it. Because everybody can't afford to get it. Everybody doesn't necessarily want to get it, have those surgeries. So to identify as trans doesn't automatically means that you have to have a surgery. So, and I think that's the biggest misconception.
Well, it's a big question, because and we're gonna go here because what's in pop culture is that there have been trans women mostly who have been out with men, and the men didn't know that they were trans. We're gonna get to that. That's a later part of our show. And I think a question is, does she have a penis or does she have a vagina? And I know for your community it doesn't matter, but to the heterosexual community it matters, because it's like if he's with her and she has a penis, what does that say about him? So it's like we have questions about that. So
again, remember I said I wanted to talk a lot about I statements because I can't speak for everybody else, but I'll generalize that. What the biggest thing that I think transgender people want people to know is that we should not be defined by our genitalia. Now I know that doesn't.
But heterosexual community, that's like whatever.
Right? I get it. But I would do us a disservice if I didn't say that.
Okay.
I would do a huge disservice to my transgender community. We don't want to be defined by genitalia.
So you can have a vagina and still identify as a man.
Absolutely.
You can have a penis and still identify as a woman.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what I want you to understand. Now, to do a deeper dive, those people who decide to have surgeries, some people freely openly answer that question to the masses, and some people feel like it's not
private.
Anybody's business unless we're to the point where we're engaging in terms of having conversation, and we want to talk about that next level, that next level, which would include intimacy. Where
I was following all along to this. When we get to sex, though, that's when I think a lot of questions come from the heterosexual community, because with us it's black and white. You have a penis, your penis goes in the vagina. So it's like this. We know what you do with it.
Again, I will continue to challenge the heterosexual community with societal norms, because society has said that the penis goes in the vagina. Let's get real and raw. Some men, not all men, but some men like
the anal,
right. I was trying to find it, to be pegged, right? So for those that might not know peg, anal play, right? By a female, right?
I've had,
but that's okay. You get what I'm saying? But my point is, and that's okay. That's normal. But
it's not though. But let me say, that's not accepted across the board. But it's a question mark. Now, some people might do it, but it's not normally accepted. It's not like, it happens. My man wants me to strap on.
As quiet as it's kept, it happens. And that was the second thing I'm going to. The strapping on the males, the pegging for males, the tossing salad. I think Tank came out and said, I like my salad tossed. I don't care. Now all of a sudden he gay. Is he really gay because he is his sexuality is fluid, or what he does in bed is fluid?
I think he's freaky. I don't think that makes him gay.
That's my point. Does it necessarily make it so? So I'm not trying to divert. I just want to be very clear. I just kind of wanted to open up that spectrum of conversation and sex. Why is the bedroom the very first thing that everybody attaches relationships with? Relationships,
because that's a part of the relationship.
Yeah, it's a part of the relationship.
So if I'm in a relationship with you, because this is another question somebody asked on my page, I want to get. If I right now got in a relationship with you, am I lesbian? Am I what?
I'm glad you said I. So I identify, because we haven't talked about any surgeries or anything just yet, but I identify as a heterosexual male. I am attracted to females, and that's my preference in terms of a relationship.
You've always been attracted to females.
Okay. But I'm just saying right now, I am attracted to females. That's my preference, and that's who I prefer to be in a relationship with the female. So if you and I were in a relationship as a heterosexual female and a heterosexual male, you're not gay. You are a straight female. We're in a regular heterosexual relationship. That's right. That's how and that's how I see it. That's how I internalize it. Now, what we do with it depends on where your open-mindedness goes. You know, if you really think about my genitalia, because now if I be real and raw once again, because I haven't revealed this yet.
Okay.
If my genitalia still is assigned to female.
Okay.
Right? You may, I can still pretty surely to goodness give you the ideology of male and female in the bedroom. Well, I'm trying to use the right concept.
Wait, what?
So we're so advanced in this world that the normal thing that people go to Starship and all these stores and go get a strap. You know, everybody think about a strap, a hard plastic piece of rubber that people put a harness on,
right,
and have sex. Trans guys, there's a lot of trans guys who invest in prosthetics, real prosthetics that form to our body, fit our body, feel sensationalized. It does everything. Can I say it?
You can say it.
But bust a nut.
When you say it does everything, but what does that mean?
No, what I'm saying, it feels like
skin.
It feels like skin. It has veins like skin. It has the hole like skin. It has
It
has the nut pack like it has, and it doesn't. And you don't have to put a strap on it.
It's not a strap.
I can stand straight up, butt naked,
and you have a penis.
My penis just slinging. You get what I'm saying? And you won't know the difference if you invest in it.
What?
If you invest
Did y'all know this? My mind is blown.
So the misconception again is that, I don't want no man that was born a female that's got to put on a hard
strap,
piece of a rubber, the strap on. But
I didn't know this. Like my mind is really mind blown. Okay, we have a caller. Hey, caller, welcome to Conversations with Cupid.
Oh my God. Hello.
Hey, is this London?
Yes, this is London. How are you?
Hey, London. Oh my God, I'm so glad you called. I thought you were gonna Skype in. We were like trying to get the technology.
No, I've been trying to Skype in, but for whatever reason, Skype has this new thing with the system that it has a recovery system, and I'm putting my name in Skype, and it's not allowing me to sign in for whatever reason. I've went through it like for the past 30 minutes.
All right, well, put her picture up so we can hear her story. Put her picture up, Jack.
Hey,
so
London.
It's like I can't really hear. So the other option was to either have if someone could either FaceTime me, or I wish that you could add me in the corner. So like right hand corner, like when I go on out loud, if someone adds a person in, and then they add me, and you can still see me in the right corner.
But we can't do it. Like you have to either Skype in.
Unless somebody FaceTimes me. I mean.
We're not on the phone, so we're actually in a studio, and it's coming through a computer. It's not coming through our phone. So what I could do is give me a second. Let me try to make a new Skype account. Let me just try to make a whole new account. No, don't worry about it. Why don't we just pull up your picture? We'll just put your picture up.
No, because it's hard for me to really hear you, and I want to be very clear with everything that I'm saying, like coming out my mouth.
Come on,
London.
London.
If you just give me like 5 seconds, let me try to 5 minutes.
All right.
To make a whole new Skype.
Okay, all right, because I definitely want to hear your story. All right.
And if it doesn't go through, because it's hard for me to hear you guys. It's like just indistinguishable.
Okay, what's your Skype? My producer said text on my phone your Skype, and then he will.
Yeah, it does. It's not going to matter because my Skype is not signed into this.
Okay.
Yeah, she's trying to do a new Skype.
Okay, so call back if it doesn't work.
It should only take a few minutes to do a new Skype.
Create a new Skype, because I definitely want to get your story, London. So call me back.
Come on, London. I need you. I need you, London, baby. Come on, London. I need you, baby.
Let's make a new account.
All right, thank you. Oh God, we got to get her story. But hold on, you just blew my freaking mind.
Yeah.
So there is a prosthetic penis.
Yeah, because if you're gonna be a male, you need to, so I want to be because I can't, again, everybody don't desire to have a penis. Some people are okay. In fact, I know one trans guy that he's a legend in our community. We look up to this guy, and he has breasts. He looks masculine, and he has breast and female genitalia, and he does not allow that to define who he is. You either gonna love him or like him for who he is, or you're not. And if you don't, it's okay. And I want to make that clear for the heterosexual community,
Sure.
for the lesbian community, for the the queer community. It's okay. if I run into you and we don't have a chemistry, and you don't, or if I reveal something to you and you don't like it, don't kill me. Let's just part ways. You get what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
Don't bash me. Let's just kumbaya and move on.
Right.
You don't have to bash me. I'm not gonna bash you. That's like the dudes that can't produce. There's several heterosexual guys out there that's 5-minute men that can't produce. It's several men out there that don't know how to,
or 2 inches.
You know, right? I was getting ready to say that ain't got that don't have no length,
right.
girth. You know what I'm saying? But you know, so please don't.
Hey, welcome to Conversations with Cupid.
Hi, it's Michaela.
Hey, Michaela. Hold on 1 second, because we got Michaela is our sex therapist. Let me formally introduce you. Michaela was on the show before, and she, you know, we had a Let's Talk About Sex show, and now I have Michaela on again from a sex therapist perspective. Nick was just breaking it all down. He talked about his transition. He used to be a lesbian, and then he was actually married to a woman as a lesbian, and then he decided, you know what, I'm gonna go all the way, and I'm identifying as male, and I'm gonna take these hormones and become a male, and he is now legally a male. His name is legally changed to Nick. So I want to talk to you, Michaela, from a therapy perspective, mental health perspective. Have you seen clients that have transitioned to who've been transgender, and have you walked them through that process? And what are the kind of things that you've noticed or recognized in your field?
So I haven't seen a lot of transgender people in my practice. I have seen a few. And one couple that actually stands out is kind of similar to Nick's story, where I did have a couple come in as a lesbian couple, and then one of the partners wanted to, I guess, sort of disclose to, you know, his fiance, that he wanted to transition to a male, and so we kind of had to process that piece. And then I have had some people call and do a few sessions just to sort of make sure that this is what they wanted to do. And kind of talk about the family transition in that, like how is this going to affect my family? I've done some family sessions around that, but I've only done a few of those.
Yeah, Nick talked about.
But I am supportive of the transgender community, and I try to be available to as many people as possible.
Absolutely. You know, like I said to Nick earlier, I'm definitely an ally to the LGBT community. But just because we're allies, except for you because it's your field, but just because we're allies doesn't mean we know, because we're not in the community. So I'm an ally. I support you.
And I appreciate you opening up this platform and forum for us, London and I, and other people to be able to explain and articulate a little bit better. So, you know, because there's so many misconceptions around, and we still haven't even, we're just,
I know, we're scratching the surface. I feel like we have so much more to talk
like
about.
There's like literally part 2 and part 3 to this story. I'm not sure if we get through all of it. I hope that, you know, I'll just look down for the first time. It's 294 comments.
We're not going to read all of them.
I know, it's just like, whoa, you know, I'm blown away. But I want to be able to, I do want to answer some of these questions that mainly more so for the heterosexual community, to try to give them a common place up to at least respect. I'm not asking you. Everybody's not gonna like me. Everybody's not gonna be.
You don't have to love you.
And I want to be very clear. Like I said, I don't know if you read my dissertation about, you know, trying to date being trans, and because I identify as heterosexual and I like women, you know, and I'm attracted to heterosexual women, you know. So
wait, hold on, because that's different. You don't date lesbian women.
I prefer not to, but you know, and let me. Thanks for asking. So, because typically lesbian women are supposedly, you know, they are what is it? Women loving women, right? That's how they identify with they are a female who love females.
That's escape. Okay. Oh, Michaela, hold on. We got London coming in. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
But I'll say, because they're women, they're female loving female, or women who love women. I don't identify as a woman, so I don't know if, even though I've been lesbian before, I don't know if they'll particularly understand my journey. So if they don't respect and understand my journey, they still want to be, you know, flags out, and I'm a lesbian, you know, female who love, and that's how they identify. Then I'm not necessarily sure that they're gonna understand my journey.
So you want a woman who wants a man,
right? Exactly. So now,
very interesting.
Absolutely.
Do you date other trans? Like, could you date London?
So right now,
I'm asking you too many questions.
So right now I have not. My fluid sexuality has not. transposed over to trans women yet.
Because I saw this show.
There are trans men.
There are trans couples.
There are trans couples. There are trans men who are attracted to trans women. And again, that goes back.
And they understand each other.
That goes. But see, everybody want to automatically say, "Oh, well, that makes sense because they both trans." And I'm not saying that it doesn't make sense. What I'm saying for me.
Okay.
So what I want to continue to say for me, I can't explain. Somebody who date. I have several brothers that date trans women, and they are beautiful. They are beautiful women. My sisters are some of the most beautiful beings. But for me, sexually, that's not who I'm attracted to.
Gotcha.
Right now. So and I say it right now because God knows I don't know, where I might
you'll be next
10 years from now, 4 years from now, next year, but right now my preference, and I keep going back to that, my preference is to date a feminine female, in hopes to reestablish a family and marry and,
you want to be mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I would like.
I'm clear. This is so interesting to me. I know London's trying to call in. I'm so sorry you having all these problems, London. Please get in, though, because we definitely want to hear your story, and your transition from male to trans woman. You don't see her yet? I know. Okay, try to call us, London. There she is.
Hello.
Hey, London.
Hey, how are you?
Good. I'm so glad you finally got through. Okay, we can't see your we can't see your camera. Show your
my camera's on. Like it's on. I pressed the button. It just says an instinct radio thing. It just shows a sign of no camera. Okay, can you see me?
Not yet. Well, let's go ahead.
I can see myself.
You see yourself? We can't see you.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming through. All right. So, London, tell us your story. Okay, who are you? How did you start? How did you begin? Okay, we see you now. I see all these bosoms, girl. I see. That's what I see.
Hey, London.
You are beautiful. Look at you.
Oh, I look bad because I just was working out. That's why I just finished working out, so I look crazy. I'm in the car.
Well, you look beautiful.
Thank you. So, I don't know where you would like me to start, but let's see. I
back up a little bit. Back up a little bit.
Okay.
Yep. Like right there.
I'm in the car, so it's kind of.
That's fine.
Can you see me now?
Yep. Back up right there.
Okay.
Now bring it down. Let me see your eyes.
See, I don't see you all though.
Just stay right there. Okay, right there is good. All right, go ahead.
At the top, I don't see you guys. Okay, so I went to Morehouse in Atlanta, and which is an all-male school. I also went to a.
No! No! Oh no! I didn't want her to call back.
We gonna get it through.
Technology, you just never know with technology. All right, let's get her to call back. Because I know I did a Skype show before, and it worked. Yeah, it worked. So it's possible, but this is technology. I did my whole show from Philadelphia. I sure did. So, Michaela's still on the phone. Sorry, Michaela. We were trying to get London.
Yeah.
We were just trying to get London.
I don't know if there's something going on with the radio show in general today, but it was freezing up on me earlier. I tried to log on earlier and I couldn't. So it could just be something going on with the technology today.
All right. So, Michaela, one of the things, when I first brought up this topic and my community is heterosexual singles. That's what I work with. That's who I match. When I first brought up this topic, I mean, first of all, the reason the topic came up is because so many questions come about with transgender. Let me see if we can get London back in.
Okay.
I keep hearing her ringing. But so many have questions and concerns, and they were very hesitant about me even doing the show. Like, don't do that, Shay. That's going to ruin your career. And I'm like, why? We're having a conversation. Obviously, y'all have a lot of questions about them. We want to learn more about their lifestyle and, why they do what they do and how they get there. We have questions. So, Michaela, what is this? I find, and a lot of these were heterosexual men who were really bothered, really concerned about transgender. It's like a big issue for them. And you notice that there's a lot of violence toward, like what Nick was bringing up with transgender women when they date a heterosexual man. I don't know if it's because they didn't reveal that they were before or what, but there's a lot of violence with that. So I definitely want to get into that from a psychological perspective. Michaela, what is that about?
I think it really just kind of depends on the person. It could be that they felt deceived or violated because they had to find out that the person that they were dating is indeed a transgender person. It wasn't revealed. Therefore, they were not given the choice to, consent to a relationship with a transgendered person. I think a lot of it also has to do with ego and not living in their own truth, because there are some men who are dating transgender women and they know that, but then they're worried about that getting out, where that information being revealed to other people, where they didn't necessarily want other people to know
But
that.
it doesn't make them
so
gay.
There's violence,
right?
Rooted in that.
But it doesn't
so it
make
really just kind of depends on the person.
It doesn't make if a man dates a woman, a trans woman, it doesn't make him gay because she's a woman.
Right, but they cannot necessarily get over that hump that this person used to be, or used to either used to identify, or we identified them as a man.
That's it.
So it's just hard for them to get past that piece, that they were born in a male body, and so does that make me gay then? It's different than dating someone who is a cis woman, because they don't have.
And when y'all say cis, what does that mean? I see that CIS all the time. What is that?
Either.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, is that?
What you were saying.
Hold on one second, Michaela. Is London
Hello?
calling in again? London.
Hello?
Hey.
Yes, I'm here,
Okay.
and it's like every time. I don't know what. Can you see me?
Yes. Turn your phone sideways.
We can see.
Okay, you can see me now.
Yeah,
Yes.
Can see her perfect.
Oh,
Turn your phone like this, sideways.
like sideways, like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But if I turn it sideways, it's not going to be right.
That's right. It's right for us. It makes it widescreen for us. So leave it like that. Okay, now tell your story.
Yep. That's it.
Okay. So just you kind of can I guess ask me something, because if I start telling you, I don't know where to start.
So were you?
I haven't even been able to really listen to the show.
Okay, so I'll ask questions. So were you gay when you went to Morehouse?
When I started Morehouse, I was not. I went to school initially, and I identified as a heterosexual cisgender male when I first attended Morehouse, and that was not because I was not gay when I attended Morehouse. It's because that's how I felt what I needed to do to be safe in that particular space. So initially in that space, that's how I had to identify.
So you were gay, but you didn't identify as gay.
Well, when I initially went there, I was, but I didn't necessarily know what to call it at this point. I didn't know what it was. I knew what I had an attraction to, but I was so afraid. And so, but more so with me, it was that I always identified it more so with being a woman. Because what people often forget and don't understand is that gender identity and sexual orientation are mutually exclusive. They have nothing to do with each other. You can be a cisgender male and be attracted to. You could be a trans.
When you say cisgender, we don't use that term. So when you say cisgender, what does that mean? That's not a term the heterosexual community uses. So what does that mean?
Okay, so the term. Because people are so loud in my building. The term cisgender refers to someone who they live in their assigned gender from birth. Right?
Okay, natural born.
So, when you're cisgender. If you were female and you continue to live that way, you're considered to be cisgender. Transgender is when you live when your insides don't match your insides and your outsides, there's not a congruency. And as a trans person, you try to create a congruency between the inside and the outside, and you make your external match your internal, right?
Okay, that's
so.
Good.
All my life, I've always felt female. I've always been a female spirit, and always been more of a feminine person, and more attracted to a feminine spirit. And that was first how I identified. It wasn't that I first knew that I was attracted to boys or that I liked males. It was that I knew that I liked dresses, and I wanted hair, and I wanted to do things that were more feminine and that were more female-like. And it wasn't that I wanted to be with a man. A lot of people often confuse a trans person's journey with that of a person who is homosexual, which again, the two are mutually exclusive.
Like we saw with Caitlyn Jenner, where she was living a life as a heterosexual male and then transgendered to a female. So it doesn't mean you're gay necessarily. Although your story was that you were lesbian and your story was that you were gay, everybody who's transgender is not gay.
No, because again, it's I can't even see on the screen I can't see you guys at all. So
you're fine.
It's so awkward.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's so awkward to me because I hate when I can't see the person I'm talking to because I can't get expressions or anything. I can't see comments or anything. It's kind of not a good experience for me because I interact well with people and faces and all the things, and I can't see your co-host. I don't know your co-host's name, but I know your co-host is a trans man. He's adorable too. I can see him for this. He's in my song.
He's
when
Nick.
I first clicked on.
Hey, London.
So. Hey, boo. I could kind of see it first, and then it kind of clicked out. But what I will say is that I noticed that he had told you earlier that he was heterosexual, identified as a heterosexual male, and that if someone was to date him, they would be considered to be a heterosexual female because he is a heterosexual male. And that's how he identifies. But I have my story is a little different. And how you doing? My story is a little different. As far as when it goes with dating as being a trans woman, we have a very different dating with us is a little bit different than it is with a trans man.
Okay.
Because what happens with trans men is that they take on male privilege. Okay. And it's like the old saying goes, girls can wear jeans and cut their hair short because it's okay to look like a boy. But for a boy to look like a girl is degrading because you think that being as a girl is degrading. Secretly, you'd love to know what it feels like for a girl. And I love that at the beginning of Madonna's song. I think it was by Charlotte Gainsbourg who said that in a movie. And that's a quote that I've lived by for the longest time. And it's the truth. When you see a butch lesbian or a trans man, people don't get as nervous and uncomfortable overly over feminine gay male or a trans woman. People get very uncomfortable, and that goes with even dating and relationships. So a trans man can go out and be in a relationship with a woman and people accept it as okay, everything's all right. But if someone wants to date a trans woman, especially one who isn't necessarily passable,
but you're very passable, so like for you,
I'm sorry,
you look like a girl. Like I wouldn't know that you weren't, or that you weren't originally. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I acknowledge, and that's one thing I acknowledge, is something called passing privilege, which I was blessed to have, which is passing privilege, and I acknowledge it. See, some people don't like to acknowledge their privilege, and I acknowledge that privilege, and so I understand that life for some of my other trans sisters may be harder, and I try to acknowledge that and try to, not ever push my privilege upon them in any type of way. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, life is a little harder in my perspective, again, for a trans woman, as far as being out and people seeing you and being uncomfortable, and like kind of like, it's like you can see, because even growing up, it's like you'll see your friend that was a butch lesbian and they'll hang around with all the guys and they're out doing all the things with all the guys and it's okay and no one's questioning it because of what I said, because things that are male, it's okay to be male. You know what I mean? Like that's it. So I get uncomfortable when women, cisgender women, don't like to be inclusive of trans women when it comes to feminism, and they don't find an intersectionality between the feminist movement and the trans community, finding that intersectionality with the feminist movement. I hate when women can't understand that or see that as a trans woman. Women often make this statement that you want to be me or you think you are me, and they make these comments. But my thing is, if you think that I'm imitating you, then you should find it is the highest form of flattery.
Compliment,
right?
Yes.
Which means you should be respectful to me to say, hey, this person wants to, quote unquote, as you say, be you. Then you should have so much respect for me that I want to also take on your burdens as well. I want to take on all that misogyny, and I want to take on all the elements that those systems of oppression, that male privilege and that chauvinism that causes so much oppression for women. So again, that's one big issue of mine when it comes to women and feminism and understanding, finding that intersectionality. So just to kind of throw this out there, I started a scholarship, and it's called the Claudette Mason. It's named after my grandmother. It's the Claudette Mason Foundation, which I am the president of Claudette Mason Foundation, and we have a scholarship for trans women of color. And if you email me at London, LONDYN, at notcrowded.org, the scholarship is for a trans woman of color in the United States, but it's about finding there are 2 essay questions that are open for, you can do an artistic expression or a literary expression. And out of the 2 choices, one of the questions is based on finding that sisterhood and alliance and intersectionality with Black women, or women of color. I don't want to say Black women, but women of color and trans women of color, finding that intersectionality and that sisterhood to understand that we're in this together. We have a bigger fight, and we are a lot more the same than we are different. People are always trying to find the differences, and what I've noticed is that oppressed populations and marginalized populations tend to look for things that are so different from other people so that they can stratify themselves above the next person. And what we have to do sometimes is keep ourselves on that level ground with the next person, because like I said, we are a lot more the same than we are different, right? We're all out here struggling. So the other day, I was getting my nails done, and my mother taught me, as when I was my previous self, to always be a gentleman, and that my duty was to protect women, period, right? And that's always stuck with me, and it sticks with me more as a trans woman, because now I'm more compassionate and more understanding to what women go through, whether it's relationships with men, whether it's relationships with other women, whether it's the oppression that women get from the workplace, or how men put them down, just all the extra, the hormonal imbalances, all of those things. I'm right now, I don't produce testosterone, so I have estrogen. I only have adrenal testosterone, so I go through hot flashes and crying at the dish, and all the different changes and things I deal with that. So I'm compassionate to women. And so while I was at the nail salon, a Vietnamese nail tech decided to talk down to this Black woman. He kept talking down to her, and I got so upset. And I said, you need to watch how you're talking to her. And he continued to do it. And I said, listen, you know what? You need to watch how you're talking to her. He said, it's none of your business. I said, anything affecting anything affecting my community is my business, because we are all family. So yes, it affects me, and I have a problem with the way you're talking to her. He got it together real quick. He calmed down and started talking to how he was talking to her. But she was so thankful to me and so appreciative. And now she didn't necessarily know that I was trans or whatever, but the situation remains that I want a cisgender woman to have my back the same way that I have theirs. I've always had my girlfriend's backs through high school, through elementary school, through college, whether it was hooking them up with guys, whatever it was. I want them to understand that it is imperative that if you are going to be a quote-unquote ally and pretend to be or act as an ally, that you understand that you're not supposed to misgender, that you're supposed to correct others. When you hear others outside misgendering others or talking down about a population, we're talking about this particular population, it is your duty to step up and to say something and to correct people and to interject and say, hold up 1 second. The same way I interjected on her behalf.
I agree.
Because I didn't want to see a Black woman put down.
I agree with you. So I have a question. All right, because what's really hot topic right now is, like, for someone like yourself, a man approaches you right now. He would not know that you were not born a woman. Do you tell them in advance? Do you tell him as soon as he said?
Girl, let me tell you something. Let's discuss this tricking thing, because I've been posting on my page, and if anyone goes and follows my page, London Richelieu, or London LONDYN _ Rich RICH on Instagram. I did a post, and you can see my boyfriend and I on there kissing on the page, and my boyfriend actually made me to do the post. And my boyfriend at the time, him and I are separated at this time.
Oh, I'm sorry, girl.
But he's Muslim.
Okay.
But he's Muslim. He's Muslim, and I mean not the went to jail and came home Muslim. I mean born Muslim, been to Nigeria.
Come on, London.
Born Muslim, like wants me to wear a hijab Muslim. Okay, wants me that I was to touch pork and kiss the okay. So it does salat and knows Arabic. That Muslim. So his family is all Muslim, right? And so, obviously with that, can you imagine? So I'm gonna get to that story next. So the other day I was out, I was at a party with my cousins. They're all cisgender. I hang with cisgender girls. We all hanging out.
Which means
So
you hang with natural born women. I have to translate. You hang with natural born women.
No, we don't like to say natural born. See, that's
that's incorrect.
Incorrect, because I would still be naturally born. We just don't say.
You don't say that. It's cisgender, but that's not a term we use. So I'm trying to translate.
Someone who was assigned female at birth.
Got it.
So
okay.
I hang with a lot of cisgender women. I was on a TV show called Love That Sister, which is about my best friend Ione Rucker. And it was on WeTV, and so that's part of my clique and my crew. I hang with a lot of girls who went to the Spelman. And long story short, we were out at the club the other night, and this group of guys came over to me, and while I was getting in the car, mid sentence before I could say anything, as he was trying, I said, "Excuse me, I'm transgender." And he was like, "If you don't want to talk to me, you ain't got to lie to me. Just if you don't want to talk to me, just let me go." I'm like, "No, I'm telling you the truth." And then see, the thing is, a lot of times people and guys are so thirsty now. And then right after that, the day before that, I was downtown, and I have a lot of relationships with some guys in the city because a lot of people, contrary to the popular belief, a lot of men are not as homophobic, as transphobic as you would like to think. A lot of them are like that because because of shaming, which goes on a lot, particularly in this community, again, because we are an oppressed population. And like I said, sometimes oppressed populations tend to want to stratify themselves, so they like to oppress other groups, right? So in this situation, a lot of guys, like I said, are not like that, and they may be trans attracted. But what happens
trans attracted, that's a new term.
They're trans attracted, but what they do is they end up being shamed by one group, which is black women, who will be the main ones. Some girl, he is DL. He is DL, girl. But the reason he's DL, sweetheart, LaQuisha, the reason he's DL, LaQuisha, is because you shamed him and you talked down to him and you made him feel less of a man. And so therefore he doesn't feel comfortable telling you about himself. But if you were to not shame him, and if you were not to do that, then he would be able to come out and tell you his truth and live in his authenticity. And then you wouldn't have to worry about that 10 months down the line after y'all been dating and he's telling you that he wants to be with me.
Okay, so to answer the question,
let's keep that real first before we go anywhere else. Is that the shaming is a big part of the problem. So anyway, I was outside with some guys, and one of the guys decided that he wanted to tell my truth, right? Because this guy pulls up in this big S class, and he's like, "Hey, how are you?" and trying to get some of my food. I'm ignoring him. Again, here we go, thirstiness. Now, I'll be ignoring a guy all day long. I even wear this fake wedding ring on my finger just to make guys leave me alone. But for some reason, it makes them be persistent. When I show the ring, they get more persistent, right? So then it's like you have to question, is it me that's tricking them, or is it that they just are thirsty? You know what I mean? It's like they get thirsty, and then it's like, I don't feel that it's necessary that I tell you. Just because you're talking to me outside does not mean that I need to tell you. I'm not going to be intimate with you. I don't plan on giving you my number. I don't plan on having any further conversations with you after today. And it is an issue of my safety that I keep my identity and my truth to myself at this point.
That's a good point.
I don't know your mental stability. So it is not for me to be out in a public setting and to necessarily tell you. However, if I had plans on being with you sexually, it is my duty to give you that option and give you that choice. It is not for me to take your choice and your option away, because I would hate for someone to take my option and choice away. Hence, I live the way that I do because it is my option and my choice to live my reality. So no, I wouldn't take someone's choice away. I will tell you, I would never, I never mess with him. So back to my boyfriend who's Muslim. He said London, and if you go on my page, you'll see us doing this public service announcement video where he's kissing me and all this stuff on my page, right? And he said, let's do this video. I was speaking at Congressional Black Caucus last year, and for an Out on the Hill event. And he said, we're going to publicly say we love each other, right? And he's like, because he said one of the problems is that trans-attracted people tend to hide that they're trans-attracted, or because they're afraid of being shamed. And he's like, I want everybody to know, and I don't care who sees this, even if my baby's mother sees this.
Okay, y'all put that. I see y'all kissing. Okay. That's so cute. Can we put that up there? We just went to your Instagram page and we see y'all. That's so cute. I want to put it on here. I want to show.
Oh, you can't see it?
Okay. Okay, we'll do it later.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Wait,
so we're
Michaela.
kissing, so
Hold on, London. I forgot. Michaela has a question. She's our therapist. Hold on 1 second. And Michaela.
I have a question for Nick in London.
She has a question for you, London.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Can I just finish? I don't want to like.
She wants to finish her story. Hold on, Michaela. She wants to finish her story.
No, let her finish.
Yeah, I'm just saying real quick. So basically, long story short, we did the public video with me kissing. He has a baby's mother, everything. He didn't care. So it was time for him to tell his family, right? So this was the part of that mattered the most. So he called home to tell his sister and the family. The brother and sister didn't care. The sister actually, they got to know me as a person first. And see, that's one of the things that trans women tend to do sometimes, is that we like people to know us as a person, and then you tell people, right? That's another option to telling, is that you're not intimate, but you get involved socially with someone, and then you tell them so that they can see that they can like who you are as a person, right? So the sister liked me as a person, right? So we came out and said whatever, but the brother was not for it, right? But who do you think he left me? No, he did not leave me, and he did not care, and he stuck with it. And a lot of men don't have the ability to be that strong and to be out with who they love. And because he told his brother, this is my woman. I don't know her as anything else but my woman. Like, I don't want to say because you can carry yourself however you want to carry yourself, and you can look however you want to look. That doesn't mean that you're not someone's woman. Just because you're not as quote unquote passable or pretty, that doesn't mean you aren't someone's woman. You're still someone's woman. You know what I mean? So I don't want to say that would be why, but he loved me as his woman, whoever London is, whether she is cute to somebody or ugly to the next or whatever. He loved me as who I was. And I think that that's one of the important parts of this process, is that you have someone who accepts you in your totality, in your authenticity, whether you are pre-out, post-out, whatever you are, that the person is fully accepting of who you are.
And I think that's what everybody wants. That, I mean, even heterosexuals want somebody to love you for who you are. I think that's what everybody wants, right? We all want that, regardless of.
But that's what I'm saying. So that's why I don't believe in tricking people. Yeah. Because if I trick you, how can you love me in my totality and my authenticity if I'm tricking you? That means you love the facade. You love something fake. You know what I mean? You didn't love the real thing.
So yes, some people don't tell that they are transgender.
My boyfriend calls me a unicorn. You know, he's like, it's this thing that's a reality that looks in front of you, that looks like reality, and then all of a sudden it's this big horn in the head. Like, you know what I mean? It's like not reality there too. It's crazy, but yeah, he calls me his unicorn.
I understand that. Okay, Michaela has a question. Go ahead, Michaela.
Oh, okay. My question is,
I can't hear her.
I'll translate
because I hear myself echoing, and it's
I hear you, Michaela. I'll just tell her what you said.
But for Nick in London, do you think it is hurtful for us to have? It's a question about the alphabet soup, the LGBTQT alphabet that we use.
LGBTQ. She says, is it hurtful?
The transgender community. Do you think it is hurtful for people who are emerging in their understanding, and for people who want to be allies, to group all of those alphabet letters into one thing and sort of make it one unified community? Because I sort of feel like we should have some terms that describe sexual orientation, and then some terms that are separate that describe gender identity, because those two things are not synonymous, and I think it's confusing for people who are still trying to understand.
All right,
but I wanted to hear from
London and Nick.
From
Let me repeat.
Transgender people to see what they think.
I'm going to repeat your question, Michaela, because London can't understand. So her question. Okay, can you hear?
I can't hear nothing.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right. So Michaela asked the question. She said, given that sexual orientation and sexual identity are two different things, when we say LGBTQ, that lumps y'all all together, but you're two different things.
I love Michaela. Tell Michaela I love.
She said she loved you, Michaela.
I love her for asking this.
So is it hurtful? So her question is it hurtful that we lump all of y'all together when it sounds like you're two different things?
Yes. In my opinion, Shay, thank you, Shay. These are the kind of questions I love when someone asks instead of the same old thing. Yes, to me, the reason that it is that way though, I understand why it is that way, but it definitely is a problem because even within the LGBT, the L, the L and the G and the B, sometimes don't like the T, right?
They don't like the
T, and
T?
have their own, they have an issue with the T, and well, they have an issue with the T and the Q, whatever else. But right now we're just going to talk about the LGB and the T, right? So the LG, the B, don't understand necessarily the T, because they just think that you're just really one of them that wants to just dress up, right? But they don't understand that sometimes if you're a T, you might not even want to be with the opposite sex of what you're assigned.
Yeah, like Nick, you don't date lesbians.
Same sex as the assigned sex, right? You wouldn't want to be homosexual. You get what I'm saying? You wouldn't want to be that. That's not what you're into. So, yes, at the end of the day, it is a big concern. However, because a lot of the issues, there's this, like, again, the intersectionality, there's this crossroads, whether it's, discrimination, whether it's the fight for HIV and AIDS, whether it's, employment, whatever it is, there's always this kind of intersectionality, because a lot of people who were maybe T or trans may have started out as one of the other because they couldn't properly identify what they were. So they became one of those three, letters in the acronym. They became one of the three letters in the acronym, thinking that that's what they were, and that's not what they were. Do you get what I'm saying?
I understand.
So what happens is that you find family within that group,
and
that group sticks together, even though they don't understand each other.
So, because when you were lesbian, you were in a family,
right?
And everybody that was in that family is not transgender,
right? Exactly. Well, yes, some of them now are. Who have transitioned, but just as London said, that was a very good question, Michaela. But I challenge people to look at. So we have already talked about at the very beginning. That's exactly what I said, that the L, the B, and the LGB doesn't necessarily, the T doesn't necessarily exist with the LGB. It's not, because sexual orientation, which are the three, and gender identity are totally different. They're not synonymous, and we've said this over and over and over again. And it's going to take
and just like there are different versions of being transgender. See, that's another thing people don't understand. The term transgender is the umbrella, right? So within transgender, you have transsexual, you have intersex.
You got to explain it. What's a transsexual? What's a transsexual? I'm sorry. What is a transsexual?
So people who believe a transsexual will be somebody like myself, who, when that is definitely transitioning or has a end goal of having possibly gender confirming surgery, or gender confirming surgeries that aren't necessarily genitalia based. You know what I mean? So it could be whether getting your breast done, whether getting whatever, getting enhancements and changes, right? And then you have someone who's like a transvestite, who's actually a heterosexual male who just likes to dress up for whatever reason. Which I again, I understand. I don't want to raise alarms with the whole, because again, it's all this stuff about being PC and this term and that term to not use. With me, just like they don't want you to say tranny, you can't say tranny. To me that word, it's the same as when black people, if a white person says nigger or a non-straight person says faggy or dyke, when you use those pejoratives, they become pejoratives when used by people outside, or nigger. They become pejoratives when they're used by people who are not a part of that community.
Because the porn industry calls y'all trannies and she-males. That's what the porn industry calls it.
Yeah, but that's why it's not okay with me, because it's a fetishized word, and it goes, it continues the fetishism about being trans. Like when you say she-male and tranny. Now, if I'm talking to my girlfriends, you might be like, oh, tranny, or this tranny, or this and that, or girl TS, or whatever, right? But if I'm speaking to a person who is cisgender, I mean, they could say trans or transgender. Should just call me London. At the end of the day, just call me London. I mean, cause it's like, I'm not even a label type of person. The only labels I like is the ones that I wear. Mm-hmm. That's the only labels I really like, is the ones that's on my bags and shoes. Other than that, I don't even like to box people in, because labels can kind of get tricky. And, right now we just started getting language, because a lot of this stuff hasn't had language, and that's one of the reasons why it gets uncomfortable, is because of the language, right? So it's like you don't even know how to really ask me things, because you don't want to say something that you think is going to offend me, so then you don't really want to say it, and it just becomes this awkward situation. And the other night, I went to this ceasefire in Baltimore, where again, here we go about being what's important and about prioritizing. When you ask me who I am and how I identify, I am Black first,
right?
First, okay, woman, trans, okay. So, that's how it goes first. So my issues about being Black are first. My issues about being a woman are second, and then me being trans a third. And so when I was at the ceasefire, I stood up in the middle of all the people. They didn't know I was trans, right? Because I'd been there with them. But I stood up and said, listen, I said, I have a question. I said, when you talk about, y'all in here discussing Black Lives Matter, and y'all saying that all Black Lives Matter, I wanted to make sure that this type of Black Lives Matter, and me as a trans woman of color, and then it became silent, and then they were just like looking all crazy, but not looking crazy in a bad way, but in a good way, because they all were like, good, yes, of course they were like, yeah, you're included, and then we went on to have a discussion and a conversation, right, and we started to talk about, about that intersection, about, the fact that trans women of color have been being killed at, epidemic proportions. Because when you think about when you think about we're already a minority within a minority within a minority, and then you having that minority being killed at such high numbers, that's an epidemic, right?
And it's scary, I think that's scary. Y'all don't have the same issue as a trans man.
Well, it's under the radar right now, so I can't say that we don't. We have several cases. We have Kai Peterson right now, who is a trans male who was raped and assaulted by another male who's now serving, life in prison, because he killed.
And you had
he killed.
Trans men are getting attacked by trans women too.
No.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so it's happening. But again, the statistics aren't as great as the trans women. But I want to go back to Michaela's question and just say I want to challenge everybody who's still listening to look up, to try to understand. If you truly want to understand the binaries of, along that spectrum of LGBT, Q and A,
I didn't even know there were others
on, and I want to just stop there. But if you just want to understand the beginning of it, let's look up the gingerbread person. So you remember the gingerbread man? Let's talk about the gingerbread person. If you look that up, it talks about the binary lines. It talks about sexual orientation versus gender identity. It talks about GNC, which is not talked about a lot. GNC is gender non-conforming. I am not gender non-conforming, so I can't give you a whole lot of information, but I was just on a panel last night with some of my sisters who are. Typically, that means that they don't sway from one side. It's however they feel. One day they might look male, one day they might look female, but they're
fluid.
I have friends like that too.
They're very fluid. So again, look up the gingerbread person, and that'll help you understand. Again, this piece of information of those that are truly, not that you're attracted to, but those that want to be knowledgeable and educated in order to live in society and be, again, respectful to everybody. I keep going back, and when everybody asks who I am, just as London said, I am, my mind's just a little bit different, but I am Black first, and I am a male of trans experience, point blank period, or a trans male, trans male, however you want to say it. I don't have any issues with letting you know I'm a trans male, but at the end of the day, I'm a male who just want to, that want to live my life as a male and be respected as any other human being or humanity.
Okay.
That's it.
So let me ask you, like I asked London. So we're outside. I'm at the gas station, and you walk up to me. You holler at me. When do you tell me?
When do I tell you? I'm not going to tell you when I walk up to you and holler at you, but I am a gentleman in all sense of the word, so holler doesn't work for me.
Okay.
So when I approach you and see how you are, check you out and see how you're doing, and we have a brief conversation. If we pass numbers at that point, what's going to happen is we're going to talk to each other at some point. If we talk to each other at some point, based on how that conversation is going to be really how I determine my disclosure. Okay, and so it may not be disclosed on that first conversation. It may not. That trigger might have not happened for me. I might still not feel like it's enough. Enough haven't happened.
Can we go on a date? So let's say we're on a date.
So let's say then I invite you to dinner, and we at that point where we're sitting and we're talking. Again, it's going to have to be a trigger. I believe for me at that point is when I'll say, listen. So now that we've had all this great conversation about who we are and where we're trying to go and what our end goal is and what our career goals and are we family oriented and God fearing, well, I want to tell you this about me. Then at that point, I will disclose and let you know who I am. And then we can either part ways at that time, become really good friends, or you hate me and I'll pay the bill. pull your seat out and walk you to your
You're
car.
a real gentleman.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna let you run out. Unless you just take off like a track star. Then at the end of the day, it's not anything I can do. But I'm gonna treat you. But I can almost guarantee you, with you being heterosexual, no matter what, I am so much of a gentleman, and I'm the consummate gentleman that you. After I disclose that information, you might be disappointed, but you'll never walk out. You'll never run out the door. You may not call me again, and that's okay. I guarantee you'll think about me again.
Oh, I love that. Give me five.
No,
I love
guarantee
it.
you.
But can I piggyback off of that, because can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, okay. See, and again, that goes to show male privilege, right?
Male privilege.
Male differences about male privilege and male experience.
And London's right.
Because as a woman, the type of woman that I am, I don't holler at men, right? So somebody's talking to me, they're gonna be the person to initiate it. Like, I never am the type of girl. I've never been the type of girl to be like a thirsty Sheila, like, running up to men. I'm not like the freaky Felicia. That's not me. Like, you have to you have to talk to me first, right? And that also is one of the eases of me being able to tell you, because you had to have approached me and been attracted to me initially, which meant that I didn't push myself on you to make you look at me. You know what I mean? That's one of the things that makes it easier, right? When I tell guys, because if they talk to me first, typically that meant they were already attracted to me. And more than let me keep it real with you, Shay. I'm gonna keep it all the way
Keep it real.
gully.
Yes,
okay?
Go for it.
When men talk to me, I can count on my hands. Like, honestly, I don't care. All these guys talk. Listen, like they talk about men. It's not that trans women are tricking anybody. It's that men can't share with you who they're attracted to, right? So I can be out and do stuff, and I could tell a man later on, and majority of the time they are going to still be like, okay, what's up? Can I come over your house? And that's because a lot of times, once you tell a guy that you are trans, see, the thing is, you were saying that you could tell somebody you're trans and they'll get up and leave. See, with me, if I tell them they weren't with it, they could possibly pop me in my face or hit me or hurt me,
it's
right? But when
concern.
you are male-bodied or get male body, the safety factor, the safety dynamic changes just a little bit. Just because of the fact that I do take estrogen, which breaks down my muscle mass, I don't have the same ability to fight you like, somebody that might be, another girl even another trans girl who might not take hormones, or who hasn't had, the type of surgery that I had, that, prevents me from having testosterone. So I might not be as physically strong as the next person. You know what I mean? And I can't attack the guy the same way. And people get this thing in their mind, like, oh, you still a man, you could be somebody else. No, sweetie, I'm really not. Like, I really don't have the same chemical makeup anymore, or the same muscle mass, or any of that. So I am a lot different, right? So that's another factor. But back to what I was saying, like, so you have that dynamic of, you meet a guy out, you tell them who you are, and it's just a lot easier in my perspective with who I am to let them talk to me first, because at least I know there's an attraction. But what happens with trans women is that we are so fetish and so sexually fetish. Like, you don't find it necessarily with trans men, with them doing the movies like you see with trans women in those
Porn.
movies.
I haven't seen trans
the
men.
first thing that a man will ask me is, oh yeah, so what's up with that head? What's up with that head? Yeah, I know that them trannies get that good head. What's up with, talking to me like that. That's another reason why girls don't tell the tea. See, you got to understand all the factors that go into it, because it's a lot deeper than people think. See, another reason why girls don't tell the tea is not because they're trying to trick anyone. It's because the respect factor changes, right? So it's like a guy would be treating you with all this respect and treating you like you're a woman and treating you nice and open the door for you and, offering him, let me meet his mom and all this kind of whoopty-whoopty-woo and taking me to eat. But then as soon as I tell them I'm trans, they want some quick sneak head around the corner and they just want to drop me off. You get what I'm saying?
Oh,
so that's another reason why girls
sexualized.
don't like this.
Because there is a thought that I've heard that even with gay men, there's a thought that they can perform, and I'm sure it's the same with women. Yeah. They can perform oral sex better because they have a penis and know how to. Just like with lesbian women, there's a thought that, well, she would be able to orally go down on me better than a guy because,
total misconception.
I know. Right. I'm just telling you what the thought is.
Right, but that's why you have all these. You have your POF and your tagged and your Badu, which are all like stuck and so when a lot of these organizations want to do all this prevention work, they need to get onto some of these social sites, these tags, these Badus and stuff like that, because that's where you find these secretly closeted men, and then you find quote unquote trans attractive persons and all this stuff who they have to go on these different sites, and it's not that, and even when you look at ones that are seeking people, how you doing for underground economies, which we understand what underground economies are, correct?
You mean like on Backpage when you say underground economy? Okay.
Exactly.
So you mean like
so
prostitutes?
What happens is that you find in these underground economy. The reason that some people subscribe to these underground economies is because of the fact that they don't have the ability to find what they truly like, because there's no way, like if you let's just say you're trans attracted, right, and I'm passable, right, so you wouldn't necessarily look at me outside and know that I'm trans, but you are trans attracted, right, so you don't know where to find a girl or a trans man, or where to find a person that's trans unless you go onto some of the seedy places and look, because I mean, you're just not going to find like a person that's just out and about that might be passable or whatever, that you're not going to know, right? So it becomes a lot of different like areas within this that make it just very difficult, and it's and also of course the shame and stuff, because even if you were to go to like a club, like you would go to the gay club, because again the LGBT couple together, you go to the gay club looking for a trans woman, then you're afraid you're going to see somebody it's just a lot that goes into it. So then you have and then you also have girls doing sex work, right, which a lot of times people demonize sex work, but it is a for a lot of trans women, because again, it is one of those things that has been stereotypically placed on trans women and coupled with our community, right? But people don't understand the amount of empowerment that goes along with that, because a lot of trans women, again, are not passable to society's view, and they may not be able to get the jobs they want to get, and they find themselves doing that because, again, it gives them control over their own body, which they might not have been able to even, they've not had all their lives. Hello, how you doing?
So I'm gonna ask about this. I'm gonna ask
so
about.
So they've not had control over their bodies. Right?
Got it. I got one question, London. I got to wrap up. I want to ask about passable, because there are passable trans men and passable trans women. And is it due to having the money to get the surgery?
No, I mean,
and I was like, and it's multiple factors.
Yeah.
So, because like recently, I just had surgery, right? So I just had surgery last week. I just had facial feminization, right?
Facial feminization.
Yeah, I didn't need it, but I got it. I didn't need it. I mean, you can't even really tell, because if you look at my old pictures, I look the same. Like, honestly, I don't even know. It was a waste. I don't even know why I did it. Like, but anyway, I had some tweaks done on my face, right? And it's called facial feminization surgery, which basically makes, like, okay, so there are certain measurements, right? Like the distance between your nose and your lip is shorter in a woman than it is in a man. I didn't have to get that done because when they measure, everything kind of measures up, right? So, but one of the things that can help you is having access to monies, which can get you your breasts, which can get your face done, which can get your body done, right? And so that's why a lot of girls go into the sex industry. It's not because not because they want to, but because they have to, because the quickness of getting the money to make the changes, they need to live a normal life, right? So they want to hurry up and get the money, make the changes, and then they get addicted to it because you're making so much, and then you can't get that at no regular 9 to 5, right? But then another thing that's important, and people need to understand, is that when it's great to see these people who acknowledge that their children are trans early, because one of the great things about being trans young is that you can stop puberty, right? And so that's
you can stop it. You can stop puberty.
Because you start taking what's something that we take called anti-androgens, right? Well, that's trans women. We take anti-androgens, right? So if you start at a young age taking anti-androgens, you'll stop that virulent testosterone that we do not want to go on with us. You'll stop it from your bone growth. It'll stop. You won't have to go get pumped. So you see, a lot of girls get injected with silicone and illegal silicone injections, which can be fatal. But it's not that they're doing it because they want to. It's because that's the only option they have to modify their bodies, unless you're a fat girl and you can go get, a girl like myself, I don't have body fat. So it's like I can't go get like fat transfer. It's not possible. Like I tried to get lipo when I was there to get it stuck somewhere. He was like, you don't have no fat. So, you are forced at that point to go and get silicone injected in you, right? So what happens is if you start off young, like a preteen, and you start taking hormones and you start taking anti-androgens, your body's going to naturally mature into that of a female shape young. So you're not going to have to worry about some of the factors like the money, because if you start off early, your body won't even start looking male. You won't even start growing.
And
like
that's the
that.
same
You'll
for
start growing
trans.
more female.
Is that the same for trans men?
So again, so you asked me at the top, and I'll go ahead and give this answer about surgery. So for me, passable, it depends. I mean, am I passable or not?
If I saw you walking down the street, you look like a man.
All right. So I haven't had any surgeries.
You haven't had
None.
anything.
So you asked me about my breasts.
The hormones
I
make
have a
you
chest.
look masculine?
Yeah, I have not had any surgeries. So everything that you see right now is strictly HRT. Period. So
Right.
So
that's how it was too, Nick. I was just like that.
Yeah.
I've been like that too.
So
no,
I am right now. I'm working on saving for my surgery. For my top surgery. But right now I have not had any surgery, so I would be called post-op. But most people would think that I'm passable. Now, of course, you're gonna have some people that say, "Oh, he's not passable. I still see the girl in him." Whatever. I'm passable when I look in the mirror. I'm passable.
You passable
so
to me.
I'm fine with myself. You
and
get
your
what I'm
voice
saying?
is deeper.
Right.
But what does that? The hormones do that?
Well, the hormones, sometimes does it, but I've always had a deep voice. If
you had a deep voice as a girl.
I've always had a deep. Of course, it's changed. It's octane. As I've grown into this transition, but my voice has always been deep.
And did the hormones change your voice, London? The estrogen?
No, listen, it doesn't do that for us. It doesn't do that at all. It does not change the bones, and it does not change the voice. Those things do not change. Yeah. So it's a lot. So again, that testosterone, it does a lot more for a trans man. Like it does. That testosterone really makes a big difference for them. I mean, a huge difference. Our estrogen does
it definitely manscapes. It definitely, testosterone definitely manscapes, but not the end result for everybody. A different process is like, several trans guys always hit me up and say, how long did it take you to grow a beard? Well, I don't know, because, I'm 4 years into my transition, and I'm still considered post-op, again, because I haven't had any surgery. I haven't had any masculine manscaping to my body. I haven't had any lipo. I haven't had any of those things. I am strictly on testosterone. That's it. HRT. That's all I do. But right now I'm still, in some people's eyes, I want to be very clear, passable, but more importantly, in my eyes, I'm passable. But I don't want people to get so stuck.
Because even if you don't look like you, right, or don't look like London. What I want to say for my trans sisters and brothers, even if you do not look passable to somebody else, as long as you are passable in your eyes and you feel in your heart and your soul that you are trans, and baby, you are trans. So I can just be like, I'm trans right now. I'm a man, and that's okay.
Man, if that's what you feel like, be who you are. Now, again, with the societal norms and what the things that people want to put on you, they want you to fit in this box. That's what we have to deal with, But again, as a trans guy, who's living my journey and walking through it, I navigate every day. I want, my hope is to have my chest surgery coming up very soon. But if it takes me another 2 years to get it, guess what? I am still trans, and I'm still a man at the end of the day.
And that was my question for you, London, too, because one of the things, as we saw with Bobby Valentino, that whole thing, it's like, was that a go ahead.
Okay, and you, y'all were talking about that earlier?
No, it's just that's a topic that has come up in the last couple of weeks, because he was found in the room with the trans woman.
Okay.
Yeah, what are your thoughts?
He wasn't found in a room with a trans woman. A trans woman chose to out him, is what she did. He wasn't found in a room with her. She decided to discuss what they were doing publicly.
Right.
With again, the same shaming that we find to be problematic with cisgender people. She put that same shaming on him.
So you don't agree with that? You don't agree with that at all?
Huh?
You don't agree with what she did at all?
Absolutely not.
No, I don't. And I know her personally. I know her very personally. She calls me auntie, so I mean, I know her. I know her personally, but that doesn't mean that we can't disagree. Now, I'm not gonna badmouth her. I'm not gonna talk down about her. I'm not gonna do any of that, because one thing about me is that we still are trans sisters. We still gotta uplift each other. Now, what I will do is tell her my opinion. I'm gonna try to love on her and let her know, you did that for a reason, and I need to know what the reason is, and I'm gonna try to figure it out. I'm not gonna badmouth her. No, I'm not gonna do that. But what I will say is, me personally, London, I wouldn't do that. Now, I can't speak what somebody else is or their intentions, but me, I would not out someone for the specific reason that doing so, you can't choose to be a woman one day and then be a man the next. Like I can't be letting you be wanting to be perceived as a woman all day long or coming around looking like this, and then I tell society, oh yeah, I'm a man because he was with me. You get what I'm saying? It's like you're bashing your own self.
You contradicting yourself.
It's like you're shaming him, and you're making it seem like you're a taboo and a freak show because someone loves you.
Right.
You know, so therefore you're further perpetuating the notion that being trans attractive makes someone a freak show. So no, I would never out somebody. But no, you were asking me something else. You started talking about the Bobby Valentino, and I'm sorry because that's kind of something I'm also upset at media outlets like BET, Black Entertainment Television, for they need to reclaim that time, to take that time, and we have such issues as health disparities. You have Trump's administration for number 45. You have him trying to take trans people out of the military and all these other topics that if they thought that they were trying to help the community, they could have addressed. Like yourself, Shay, who's having a productive conversation, a real topic, on real topics and real issues that affect our lives daily. This is the way that they should have done it. Have a real forum, a town hall about the issues, not put scandal and perpetuate those same things. You see, our society likes to reward bad behavior.
Right.
You know, we reward bad behavior for, with these Instagram celebrities and all these different people that do things that are quote unquote bad, with these press releases and all these different things where they're scandalizing all this scandal, these herpes things with Usher and all that crazy shit. People, we reward that kind of behavior. We're supposed to turn, and that's why I didn't want to speak the person's name that was on that show, or speak that person's name that was in the thing, because I refuse to continue to even perpetuate these people's names and say it and reward their bad behavior.
No, I understand. So we have to wrap up because I'm now over time, but I really, really thoroughly enjoyed having both of you. And Michaela, I'm sorry, did you have anything else to add? Because we need to wrap up. So final thoughts for everybody. Thank you so much for being open, honest, and transparent, sharing your story. Maybe we need to do a part 2 because, ladies first. All right, so Michaela, are you still there? Michaela, are you still there?
No, if you're gonna have a part 2, I would love to be a part of the part 2, but I don't have anything.
All right,
thanks, Michaela. We appreciate you.
Yes, and we definitely want to get you in
Thank
the
you,
studio.
Michaela. She can't hear me, but thank you, Michaela.
She can hear you. All right, London, what were your final thoughts?
Thank you.
But Shay, is it possible you can tag me on this, because sort of on my page, because
it's in your inbox. We're gonna tag you, but friend me, London. Friend me on Facebook, and I'll tag you. Go ahead and share your.
So you want me to give a final thought?
Yes.
Okay, so my final thought is gender is what's between your ears and your chest and your heart, not what's between your legs. That we don't need to get so caught up into thinking that gender is always what's between your legs, because we meet people outside and you don't know what they are wearing, what they have in their pants, and you don't know what's going on down there. What you see first is what you look at their eyes and you hear what's coming out their mouth and you see their thoughts and you're compassionate to who they are as a person. We need to stop getting so hung up in that. We also need to learn that, how hard is it to correct yourself and change one letter in a pronoun and say he or she? Why is it that we must misgender people and make people feel little and belittled? And would you want to make you feel belittled? Especially to my Black community, would you want someone to call you boy and girl? Would you want somebody to talk to you like that? No, you wouldn't. So treat people the way that you want to be treated, and expect that the same will come back to you, that people will do unto you the same way.
You know what? I totally respect that. And as an ally, I appreciate you for coming and sharing your story. Beautiful young lady, powerful, and you're bold and courageous. And so I definitely appreciate you. All right, Nick. Your final thoughts.
Yeah, so my final thoughts is, treat people the way you want to be treated, respect people, and, respect overall humanity. Just as London said, love people for who they are, love people where they are. I keep going over this respect factor over and over because respect is really huge. Communicate. Take some time to know who people are. Not every situation or every encounter is going to turn into love. Sometimes it turns into friendship. Sometimes it turns into networking. Sometimes it turns into something that you never could have imagined that has nothing to do with intimacy. Don't attach transgender people always to sex. We are not sexualized toys or a fetish. We are just human beings that are trying to navigate our life life, and we are the most courageous people on this earth, because this is not something easy. We didn't just wake up one day and say this was going to be easy. We have gone through so many hills and mountains that you guys would not even believe that you know, some people would never even have been able to make it through. We have people that are committing suicide, transgender people committing suicide simply because they're not accepted. Family, take time to listen, even if you don't agree. Listen to your children. Listen to your cousins. Listen to the people that are in your family. To Carl Brown, I know you out there listening. Carl, big ups to you, man. You are a stellar heterosexual cis guy, man. I have so much love and respect for you, raising your transgender 13-year-old child in the way that she wants to be treated. I wish that other parents would do the same thing and just listen to these kids. They, you know, so they don't commit suicide. So again, if I leave you with listening, communicate and respect, and do not attach transgender people to sexual fetishes and or the trick mechanism that everybody wants to trick you.
We're gonna wrap up, but you said don't attach them to sexual fetishes, but they're participating in the sexual fetishes with doing porn.
But when you say that we have heterosexual porn. You want me to pull up Pornhub for you?
I know we have, so I can't. That's why I can't say don't attach us to sex, because we are part of the sex.
Well, what I'm saying is, but automatically when you see when you meet a heterosexual person, it's not always, you know, it's not always about sex. You know, it could be, hey, I want to network with them. Hey, they, you know, they have an idea. You know what I'm saying? It's not automatically. When I started my dissertation, I said that don't sit around the misconception that every trans person that you meet want to jump in bed with you. I might just want to have a good conversation with you. I just want to take you out. We might want to just hang out. We become buddies. You know, it's not always about sex is what I'm saying.
I understand.
It's not always about sex. And at the end of the day, treat me with the same respect that you would want me to treat you. And if I tell you my pronoun is he, don't call me she. Like, you know, going down the comments, you know, people are like, well, you know, it was a...
I told you not to read the comments.
No, listen. No, but I got to say it. You know, it, you know, what is it? You know, do you want me to call you it? You know, how would you feel like to London's point, if I called you boy, you know, if the white man called you boy, how would you feel? Well, that's the same way I feel when you call me she. I'm not a she. I told you that I'm male. Legally, in all my documents I can show you, it says male. So
I'm gonna call you he, and I appreciate you for coming on and sharing your story.
Now, I appreciate again. It's huge for you guys giving us this platform. We appreciate it. Big ups to you, Shay. You are an amazing woman. Thank you, guys. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate y'all. We'll probably come back and do a part 2, because I feel like we got rushed and we didn't get it all in. But we have lots of questions, and I want to thank you for your time. Tune in to Conversations with Cupid next Thursday, and we'll come up with something better next week. But thank y'all so much for your bravery and your courage.
Thank you.
Smooches.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tag me. Make sure you tag me.
See you later, London.
See, good night. See you. Make sure you send me a request. Send me a message too.
All right, baby. I will. All right.